Hello, everyone, and welcome to a great preview show for Manitoba Great Western 77. We're here on the Manitoba Ciderbred Sires and Breeders Association Facebook page and website. I'm here joined by my boss in another part of the industry, Nick Barnsdale. Nick, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm pretty good. It's a nice sunny day over here in Ontario, and I'm looking forward to beating Mr. Manitoba on his home turf in a little friendly handicapping competition.
Always. And yeah, thank you for joining me. We'll also have picks along the way from a couple of buddies of ours, Grady Hachey, Truro Analyst, and Nathan Bain, track announcer at Dresden and Leamington. He's a busy guy, got two tracks going on there. We'll also have picks from local Manitoba handicapper Mike Williams, and we got picks from Sugar Doyle and Murray Slough for just the Manitoba Great Western. So we got a lot of different people's ideas and thoughts coming into this card. But we'll kick things off here in race one, maidens, with also some non-winners of one, little conditional here. First, a 4,200, a field of 7. I'll kick things off. Like you said, Mr. Manitoba in this one. I like the 5, Lazar Mania. This 3-year-old filly. She was doing pretty good to start the year. 3 or 4 seconds in a row. Got her win to coming back to the loop. Has been a little bit down the last couple of weeks with a 4th and a 3rd. But teaming up with her, Michelle Ray, current leader in driving wins so far this year at in Manitoba. He picked up a Grand Slam last Saturday, which puts him at 12. So I like Lazar Mania. This Lazarus sired filly, I think has got a lot better in her. For second, I'm going to go with the super far outside, super cozy, coming from post 7. I've been thinking about this. I got to get my mind out. I'm used to Miami being only 6 wide and post 7 being the trailer, because I would like this horse a little bit more if it was in the inside. But 2 wide can be a little difficult. But if you look at the lines, this horse was caught 2 wide for about half a race last week and still finished second. Paula Mason is actually a pretty aggressive driver. I like her driving style. Give me the 7 super cozy for second. And then wrap things up with the 3 Peekaboo Pebbles with Don Howlett, who was tied for the lead with driving wins, but now he sits second, I believe, behind Michelle Ray. Ace, who do you like in this one, buddy?
I'm going to go with the 3 on top. Peekaboo Pebbles won a maiden event earlier this season. Had a little trouble last time when they got a bit faster going into 04 and 1. But a lot of this field hasn't shown that type of speed. I think leaving post 3 with the Howletts, that high percentage combination, I think she could come through and perhaps, pay a decent price considering the last 3 chart lines, which, let's be honest, don't look very appealing. I've gone a similar way with you in terms of the top 3. I'll take Lazar Mania second. She was good last out, and like you said, very good earlier in the season. Again, 204 and 1. That was the same race. Sorry, not the same race as Peekaboo Pebbles, but they went in the same clocking, and Lazar Mania was right there with them. Then I'm going to round it out with 7. Again, I like Paula Mason too. I think she's a good driver. And this horse has shown that it likes to hit the ticket. Post 7 is a fairly big disadvantage, like you said. And if the race sets up for her, she can certainly win. But from post 7, I'm going to stick her on the end of my ticket.
I like it. Our top 3 is the exact same. But if we look at our other guest handicappers here, Grady, Nathan, and Mike all put the 7 on top. Super cozy. Let's go through Mike's picks here. He has the 7 super cozy on top with the 5 Lazar Mania for second and the 3 Peekaboo Pebbles for third. And that's actually also what Nathan Bain has too as well. 7, 5, 3. Grady goes a little different. He's got the 7. He's got the 5. But he goes with Paula's dad, Daryl Mason, and Chocolate Bomb on his triactor ticket there. So 7, 5, 1 for Grady Hachey there. Man, so yeah, we're all over a little bit on this one. I like to see that. Move on to race 2, and this is the one that I think everyone's most excited about, the 77th running of the Manitoba Great Western Stakes, 14,139 up for grabs. I wish the purse was a little more, but maybe one day. For 3-year-olds, little history lesson. Historically, this has been run kind of like the Little Brown Jug, with eliminations being earlier in the day, with the finals being later on the same card. Last couple, I can't remember the exact year, but it's been changed where if eliminations are needed, they go the week prior, but no eliminations were needed this year. It's only 7 draw in. Yeah, you know what? You talk me through your picks here for this one first.
I'm going with Grit and Grace, the 4. I think the 2, Choose to Cruise and Grit and Grace, are on about the same level. However, I think you're probably going to get a little bit more value in Grit and Grace just because of that last chart line. I see that as simply a tightener, which you can effectively throw out. But the Choose Cruise finished 3rd, and it's a much more attractive chart line. Had those 2 parked out symbols. Still finished 3rd and came home in 30-1. And I think that will lead to Choose to Cruise being a bit overbet compared to Grit and Grace, when I'd say they're about even. I think this race may come down to which of these horses is on the front and which of them's in the pocket. So that being said, I'm going to go with Grit and Grace, especially if you're getting a bit of a better price than Choose to Cruise. But again, obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if Choose to Cruise wins this one. And for 3rd, I'm going to go with the 6, Looking Like a Million. Won the Golden Boy 2 back, was 2nd parked out, and battled on against Is He Watching, who is also in on this card. And yeah, the 6 horse is just a solid horse, going for Remillard and Isman. I think very good possibility of rounding the ticket. Who do you like, Trey?
Oh, I like it, man. And we actually have the almost the exact same. I'm going to go with Grit and Grace as well to win this one. I've switched it a few times, if I'm being completely honest, but the one kicker I really made me go for it was that last line of Grit and Grace. It was against older horses. So, to have a 29-4 closing quarter, it was against a little bit tougher crowd. The last time that Grit and Grace faced off against Choose to Cruise, she did get the better of her, which was Choose to Cruise 3rd place in the Silk Lace Leg 1. And yeah, I just been liking what Dean Ray and Lorraine Ray's been doing with this filly. But again, Choose to Cruise with Glenn LeDrew, he's been the top driver in Manitoba before. Trevor William trains Cruise to Cruise. Choose to Cruise, he's been the top trainer for the last, I don't even know, a few years as well. So, I mean, I think it's going to be the 2-4 exactor in this one, and I think that's what everyone's going to bet into. The one difference I have is I'm going to go with the 1 Tough Crowd for 3rd. I like the rail position here, and maybe some a game within the game a little bit. Tough Crowd and Cartoon Kid, the 3 are stablemates, and then they're parked sitting in between Choose to Cruise and Grit and Grace. So I wonder, maybe the early race shenanigans out of the Mark Filion barn and Don Howlett driving Tough Crowd. You never know how that stuff can go. Gets the inside stuff. But I do like Looking Like a Million as well. Has been looking better the last couple of weeks. 2 did win the Golden Boy, like you said. If I had to probably throw a 4th horse in there, it would be Looking Like a Million. If we go to our other handicappers here, Grady, Nathan, and Mike all picked the 2 Choose to Cruise in this one. Grady has Choose to Cruise with Grit and Grace for 2nd. He's going to go with Cartoon Kid for 3rd, a little baby value play there in the triactor, while Nathan has Choose to Cruise and Grit and Grace, followed by the 7 Chasing Rainbows, who will team up with last year's top driver Blake Panuck. And Mike has Grit and Grace Choose to Cruise, then Grit and Grace with the 3 Cartoon Kid as well. And our other 2 handicappers in this one, Murray Slough, he's going to go with Choose to Cruise for 1st, Grit and Grace for 2nd, and Looking Like a Million for 3rd, just like you, Nick. But Sugar, he's going for the hit me upset. He's going with the 6, Looking Like a Million on top, hoping that there's some value there in that Tara Isman's trained horse. Then he's going to go Choose to Cruise for 2nd with Grit and Grace for 3rd, man. Yeah, Sugar's watch Sugar be right. And I hope he is, honestly, because coming in at 5-1 morning line odds, looking like a million. Can only imagine what that could actually be at post time if everyone bets on Choose to Cruise and Grit and Grace. Yeah, any thoughts on, because you have Looking Like a Million as your third? Any extra thoughts on him and what Sugar's going for here?
Yeah, I mean, Sugar's not here to explain his rationale, but I mean, the 2 and the 4, the two chucks both show speed. And, if they hook up, you never know what happens. The 6, like you said, 5-1 could translate to 20-1 on the actual board. Um, Showed ability in all of his last 3 starts, and he will have to drop probably a couple seconds to beat these in this one, but he has been right there. Went in 201 in Miami, 202 and 4 at the Loop, 2 back. And again, Remy Ard and Nisman, very capable connections. And if the trip goes his way, I don't see why Looking Like a Million couldn't get it done.
No, exactly. And I'm just gonna touch here a little history lesson on the Manitoba Great Western. 1948 was the first running of this race, and it went to a horse by the name of Mac Armstrong. Unfortunately, don't have times or anything like that, but that's crazy to think the race that went this far back. I believe this is the oldest stake race in harness racing stake race in Western Canada. I don't know if one tops it. And like I said, traditionally was the little brown jug style. It'd be cool if we could still do it. Unfortunately, people have been leaning away from that style of racing in the modern era, with speed being more important than stamina and stuff. I remember calling some of them with their 2 races in one day. Very interesting stuff. Some past winners. Last year's winner, Handsome Dan, with Blake Pinnock and Trevor Williams trained. He is actually racing on Friday at Century Downs. So I wonder if he can get a win on Manitoba Great Western Day. The 2022 winner, a horse that I'm sure we've all heard of, Emmett's Buddy, won this one in 201 and 3 when it was done in Miami. As everyone knows, he's the fastest horse to come from Manitoba. 149, I believe, is his fastest time. Mm-hmm. I feel like we've both written it probably so many times, we should know. And then another horse, actually a horse that spends a lot of time in Nathan Bain's neck of the woods, Raisin a Rocket, won this in 2017. That horse runs a lot in Leamington and the Dresden area in Nathan's neck of the woods. So, horses that win this race do go on and do other things. So we'll be very excited to see who comes out on top on Saturday. But we'll move on to race 3. This is a purse of $5,200 for non-winners, 1,500 last 3. I'll kick things off with this one if I find where I put my picks. I like the 4 Shots Fired. That's a 4-year-old Custer the Dragon gelding, coming off a win last time in 158 and 2. Those sub 2-minute times at the Loop haven't been seen much this year. So if a horse is able to do it, there might be some value in that. Did go wire to wire after drawing the rail. Does come from post 4 this time and has had some difficulty from the middle of the track so far, but I think we'll overcome it this weekend. My first second, I am going to go with the 3 Litazor, dropping out of the I guess this is the open class still, but has been racing in the open. Finished second last week behind Army Captain Hanover, arguably one of the best horses to race in Manitoba over recent years. And then for third, I'm going to go with the 2. One Last Bet. We're going to go for a little 8-1 upset here. I'm kind of surprised this horse is opened at 8-1 morning line odds. Finished second last week in 202 and 1. Has had some pretty consistent 2-minute times, which is fairly good at the Loop this year. But Ace, who do you like here in race 3?
I'm going with Litazor. He finally dodges Army Captain Hanover, beat him 3 back, but lost to him in 4 of his past 5 in that top level sort of free-for-all event. Offered for the claiming price again for the Howlets. But he's just a tough horse, and he's been racing against these salty types. I mean, you can see Chaz Michael, who's also in the race, has been right there too. But drawing post 3, I think the race may play out is that he may end up in the pocket behind the 4 or the 2, depending on who likes to leave, or he may end up third and have to make a move to the front on the backstretch. But this is a tough race to figure out how it's going to play out, considering you have the 2 stepping up, who shows speed, and the 4 who showed speed last time, and 2 starts back as well, but has previously not shown speed. So this is a bit of a puzzle, this race, but I'm going to Lidazor because he hasn't shown that 58 and 2 mile that Shots Fired has, but he's gone in 59 and 4, 2 minutes and change. And I think Shots Fired kind of had it his way last time. So in a bit of a tougher field, I think Lidazor is going to be good value as well, because people, like you said, will be attracted to that 158 and 2 mile, and you could get a bit of an overlay on Lidazor. Shots Fired is my second pick. Again, while that 158 and 2 line may draw quite a bit of the betting public, it is unquestionably a good performance, and this is clearly one of the best horses in the race. So I'm going to pick him for second. It is possible that he'll get the lead and go all the way. And he's also got Glenn LeDrew and Trevor Williams, like you said. And for third, I'm going to go with the 5, Mock Jacobs. Came from Ontario, and he's been improving every start. Knocked his time down to 2:04 and change last time, as he was second to Non-Versation. And Dean and Lorraine Ray, high percentage connections. The gelding is 0 for 25 on the year, which is, another reason that I wouldn't pick him top. But again, a lot of that was against tougher Mohawk types, and he is improving. So I'll take him for third with marginal upset possibility.
I was high on Mock Jacobs, but like you said, 0 for 25 is still a daunting stat, regardless of where you're racing. But yeah, coming from Woodbine Mohawk, it's a little different competition here, and he's probably due to go to our guest handicappers. Grady, he goes here with the 3 Lidazor. He agrees with you. For second, he's going to go with Shots Fired. And for third, he went with Chaz Michael. Michael, who is also winless this year, only 0 for 7, though. But for his third, Nathan Bain, he's going to go with me with Shots Fired for first, and then Lidazor for second. And his third, he's going to go with the Mock Jacobs. Mike, do I have Mike's here? Yeah, Mike, he's going to go with me as well with Shots Fired. Not really surprised about that one. And Lidazor for second, and Mock Jacobs for third. On to race 4. Some maidens and some non-winners of 2 here for a purse of 4,200. How about you kick me off with this one, Nick?
I'm going with Some Might Say. I had him singled in my pick 3 when it did start in race 3. But I think he's just clearly the best horse in here. Went in 2:02 and change last time, second to Control the Distance. And Remyard and Ray are 2. I mean, they can get the job done. I think post 5 is not as much of a hindrance to him in this race, as he does like to come from off the pace. None of the other horses have really come to a time close to him at the Loop. I suppose Fancy that did. But I think Some Might Say has also been improving over the course of the season and was a former Ontario horse. This one, I think he is clearly the best. For second, I'm going to go with Fancy That. Again, 2:03 and 1 mile, 2 back. Last time, faded late, possibly wasn't at his best in that race. And he is 0 for 7 on the season. But he has shown the ability to stay with these. And I think he is the second best horse, after Some Might Say. For third, I'm going to go with Raise Your Glass. After the maiden win last time, was in a pretty slow time. But again, two back, he was in the Golden Boy, and he was second to some really big winners in 2 previous races. So he's 1 for 6, but with 3 place finishes, I think he's a good one to include to round out the ticket.
I like it, Ace. We actually agree with our top 2. Some might say I think is the clear best in this one, with time wise anyway. And Fancy That for second, very similar times. For third, I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to go with the Rail Horse, Just a Cool Dude. I think the times are a little bit better, and this is the first time that he will be able to draws the rail anyway. And I wonder if that will just set up differently for the race in this one. To our other guest handicappers, Grady goes with Some Might Say for win. He's actually going to go with Raise Your Glass for second, and then Fancy That for third. While Nathan, he takes Fancy That on top in this one, maybe giving Daryl Mason his first driving win of the year. And then for second, he'll go with Some Might Say. And he ends off with third with Just a Cool Dude. And Mike Williams goes with Some Might Say, Fancy That, and Raise Your Glass, just like you said in that one. Oh, race 5, man. 4,500 for non-winners of 3, fillies and mares 4. I'll start off in this one with take the 2. Is He Watching? Another Laverne Turnbull one. We just talked about a Laverne Turnbull owned one in the last, or at least in this one's owned. Ricky Ray trains, Michelle Ray drives, coming off of back-to-back wins, 203 and 1, 202 and 4. It's had little bit came out from post 2 last time, came out from farther post the time before that. I really like this He's Watching filly. 3 wins this year. For second, I'm going to go with the 5, Be Special with Paula Mason. Does have the outside, but like we've talked about a couple times before, Paula has been an aggressive driver this year, and I don't think the post 5 will hurt this 6-year-old Mystery Chase mare. Aaron Mason trains. That's her little brother. And then for third, I'm going to go with, my notes are all messed up. I should keep better track of this. This is the one, the rail horse, Control the Distance, is coming off a win 2 last week in 201 and 3. Paula was aboard last time. Daryl will be in the bike this time, picking up that horse's first win of the year. Ace, who do you like here in race 5?
I'm going with the 1, Control the Distance. I think she was very sharp last time. She was a full second and change better than the 2, faster than the 2 on the same card last week. Daryl Mason, like you said, is looking for his first one of the season, but he's got the rail and seems like he can really do what he wants with this mare because she's come from third. Last time she came first over with a kind of brush and crush move with Paula driving. And she was second to Trust Me a Lot, Voodoo Blue Chip, and Choose to Cruise in the last few starts. Then when she got away from those horses, she won convincingly. I think she's improving. And I think from the rail, this is a pretty high percentage play. I'm going to go with Is He Watching for second. Like you said, also very sharp right now. Has won 2 straight. Now has the 2-hole for the Rays. Very well could just take the lead and go all the way. But I think Control the Distance, maybe sitting in the pocket, could be a tough one to hold off. And then for third, I've gone with the 4, Voodoo Blue Chip. Was third last time in that good effort by Is He Watching, but 2 back 1 in 202 at the Loop against Control the Distance. So this is a solid colt, but again, post 4, a little bit worse than 1 and 2, but this one could show speed with the high percentage Howlets. And it is very possible that he will either grab the pocket or the top spot. And from there, he may be tough to chase down, especially if he gets things his way. So it will depend quite a bit on how the trip plays out. I could see it going with any of these 3, but I'm going to go with Control the Distance just based on the fact that I think she could be the best horse right now.
I could see that for sure. And actually, to add to the Control the Distance, maybe you said I missed it. She went off stride at the beginning of her race last 5 week 2 and still found a way to win that one, and very impressive. And this one, Grady, he went with the 1 as well, Control the Distance. And then he went with Is He Watching for second, and rounds out with Voodoo Blue Chip, who you agree exactly what you said. Yeah. Nathan, he switched it up a little bit. He went with Is He Watching for first, but Control the Distance for second, and Be Special for third. Well, Mike Williams, he agrees too with Control the Distance and Is He Watching for second, and Voodoo Blue Chip. So I mean, if you're agreeing with Mike, Mike is probably the guy to go with at Manitoba more than me sometimes. So I very rarely am right over him. But yeah, I have to say, after 5 races, very competitive races, even with only 5-6 horse fields. It's really, they're inches apart, some of these horses. We're getting here to the final stretch, race 6. 4,400 up for grabs for non-winners of 650 in last 3 starts, with older horses drawing the outside, I believe. In this one, you tell me what you like in this one.
I like the 5, 2 Shoes. If you look, he gets into this class, the non-winners of 650 last 3, after racing against those non-winners of 1,500 horses from the 3rd race. Army Captain Hanover, Lidazor, Chaz Michael, those types of horses. And found it tough to compete with them. He was 11 lengths back last time in 201 and 3. Now that he gets away from those, I think this is his race to win. He even won 4 back convincingly against types like Non-Versation and Seek and Destroy. I think on the drop down, these are horses that he should be beating, even from post 5. And I think I would expect him to show speed with Dean Ray in the bike. And probably he's going to go all the way. And I would even say there's a chance he wins by a few lengths. So that's my top pick in this one. Everyone's hero is going to be my second choice. Was racing at Fraser earlier this year, former Ontario horse. Has been in a bit tough recently and hasn't shown some great efforts on his chart lines. But earlier this season, he did show a nice closing kick at Miami Fair. And I think from the rail, that's the draw he's been needing. So I think from the rail could factor in. And then for third, I'm going to go with the 3, Colonel Kelly. Can be in and around these types again. Last time finished behind Non-Versation, Mock Jacobs, those types, and 2 back was behind Shots Fired, we just talked about. I think, again, this is a bit of a drop in class that this gelding kind of needs at this point, and I think he could factor in for third. But this one, I think the Triactor is a bit tough to figure behind 2 Shoes, but I'll let you take us away, Trey.
It's going to kill me to do this on Labor Day weekend, but I'm going to take a Saskatchewan-owned horse to win this one in Colonel Kelly. I just like the times are very similar to what 2 Shoes was doing in the open class. Colonel Kelly, yeah, just one of those horses that he's been around to, hasn't won yet this year and didn't win last year, but I'm really interested to see what Paula can do in the bike with this 7-year-old gelding. She was in the bike when he made his first race debut on August the 3rd. First time she'll be back in the bike. And then it's going to kill me even more because I'm going to go with the Saskatchewan-owned horse for second, and Apagatura. Again, I like what this horse has been doing as of late. Clayton will be in the bike. Man, Saskatchewan boy Clayton, too, I'm going to take here training in this weekend. And, that kills me, man. Wearing my blue right now. But, yeah, I'm going to go with the Clayton Braybrook Exactor. And I think they'll pay a price because I can see 2 Shoes being heavily fed into the ground. And like you said, comes from post 5. I think, again, if I'm doing the Triactor, you'd have to put the safety net in there where I'd probably go like 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5 all, and just by chance I'm right and Apagatura Colonel Kelly gets the win, then it'll pay. And if not, 2 Shoes, at least you got the safety net. Because, I've actually, 2 Shoes looked good, got his first win of the year. I called it in Miami in 202 and 1, and then won again in 202 and 2 at the Loop. But then, just didn't quite get settled in the open class. But yeah, I think it's going to be the outside horses in this one for sure. Let me see. What did Grady say? Grady, he took no surprise, 2 Shoes, the 5 to win this one. And he took Apagatura for second with Colonel Kelly for third. While Nathan, he took 2 Shoes to win this one with Colonel Kelly for second and everyone's hero for third. And Mike took Apagatura to win this one over 2 Shoes, and then Colonel Kelly for third. I'm actually surprised about Mike taking Apagatura a little bit that one, because he's a pretty heavy. He's always been heavy on 2 Shoes, but I think him and I have just talked about where we're a little surprised of 2 Shoes' performance. But again, open class anywhere is it's always tough to win, even in Manitoba. Oh, man, race 7, the finale, 4,700 here for non-winners of 7 or 8. This is a pretty tough race. Some pretty big-time horses in this one. Probably as close as you can get to the open, maybe without being the open. Field of 6 here. I'll kick things off with, I'm going to take the 4, Non-Versation. Didn't quite, was getting close for a while there. A lot of seconds, some thirds, was finding the top 3. Just couldn't get it done for a long time, and finally won in 2 minutes and 3/5 last week at the Loop in a wire-to-wire effort. Did draw the rail last week, however, will have to come from post 4, but non-versation. It's another partly owned Saskatchewan one I'm taking Labor Day weekend. So, that's not great. But I like how this mare has run. Very good horse. And I think we'll finally start finding its form here. For second, I'm going to go with 5th, Taj Mania, back-to-back wins. Last week was 2 minutes and 3/5 as well, matching the same time as non-versation. The week prior went sub 2 minutes and 1:59 and 4. Before that was racing in Calgary and Century Downs. I've been liking what this horse was doing out there, and now moves here to the half-mile track outside of Winnipeg. And for third, Singing Ramona has actually got a win 2 last week in 2:01 and 3. Had some seconds just behind Taj Mania, and actually just got a win in Georgian Downs 2 in 1:58 before moving out to Manitoba too. So this mare has definitely seen some tougher fields as well. So I'm going to go 4, 5, 6. Ace, who do you have in this last one?
I'm similar to you. I'm going to go with Taj Mania on top. Was racing out in Alberta, like you said, since he came here to the very powerful LeDrew Williams connections. Has won both his races. Bit of a step up this time, but he already showed he can go in sub 2 minutes in that win 2 back. Post 5 doesn't trouble me so much in this spot because this horse clearly likes to race off a helmet. And I think LeDrew will give him a good drive from post 5. I'm going to go with non-versation for second. Obviously won that 1,500 class last time in 2 minutes and 3. Same time as Taj Mania, though granted it was a week later. On that same card as Taj Mania went in 1:59 and 2. As she was third to Shots Fired and Seek and Destroy, who's also in this field. I think non-versation for second. Singing Ramona is an interesting type. Has raced in Ontario, in New York, took her mark at Buffalo Raceway, and last year at Saratoga. Now she's in Manitoba. But I'm actually going to go with Braxton's Boy for third. I think coming from the rail, a horse that likes to be up front, driven by, I think you called him Mickey Ray, and trained by Richard Ray. He's a strong horse. Went into a 1 and 4 last time. Gets the rail. I think could be on the end of it for a piece here in the try. So I'm going to go for a bit of value on the end of it with Braxton's Boy, but Singing Ramona being on the ticket wouldn't surprise me a bit at all. So I'm going 5-4-1 in this race.
Yeah, no, this race is a very tough one because it's hard to bet against Braxton's Boy and Mitch in there and Ricky, back-to-back wins, like you said. I've also been really high on the 2 lately, Seek and Destroy. Couple tough trips and finally kind of gets an easier inside post. Was racing prior in Cal Expo, and then Flying Officer again back to had a lot of top 3 finishes in this one, and then we've also talked about non-versation Taj Mania and Singing Ramona. Very tough race to end things off. Grady, he's going to go with the 5. He's going to take Taj Mania on top, and then he's going to go with Singing Ramona, the 6 for second, and then he's going to go with Seek and Destroy for third. Nathan, he's going to go with Taj Mania for first, non-versation for second, and Seek and Destroy for third. And then Mike Williams, he likes non-versation on top, Taj Mania for second, Singing Ramona for third. That's all the races, but we'll rewind a little bit here and talk about the pick 4. The pick 4 starts in race 4, $1 minimum here at the Loop. So we'll rewind to race 4. We'll talk. Want to just talk each leg real quick, maybe, and then again, just kind of re-say what we're going to pick because to start off my first leg in race 4, I'm going to take the 2 Fancy That and the 5 Some Might Say. I believe you have the Some Might Say singled. Is that correct?
That's correct. My thinking is that he's the best horse, and if Fancy That beats, I'll hold up my hands and say, oh well. But I think I'm going to take a shot on Some Might Say here so I can spread elsewhere.
Perfect. I like it. And then the second leg is race 5. I'm going to go with the 2 and the 5 again. Is He Watching with B Special? Who do you have in this one?
In this one, race 5, I got the 1, 2, and 4. Control the distance. Like I said, very good last time. you got to have Is He Watching? Like you have, again, another strong horse right now with 2 straight wins. And I threw in Voodoo Blue Chip as my third horse. Has shown wins with some speed in his chart lines, and last time maybe just didn't have it. So I think this is a good one to throw in for some value, and that is created by me having 2 singles on this ticket, which we'll get to. But yeah, 1, 2, 4 for me in leg 2.
I understand. In the third leg, race 6, this is where I'm hoping for my potential cash in, because I'm going to have the 3, 4, and 5. Kind of like what I talked about earlier about having maybe going a triactor 3, 4, 5 with 3, 4, 5 with all. Same thing in the pick 4. I'm going to hope that Colonel Kelly and Apagatura are the only Saskatchewaners that get wins this weekend and help me with a payday. But if Two Shoes comes in, at least I have that safety net. But in this one, is this where you have your second single?
That's correct. I'm going with Two Shoes. Personally, I think he's just on another level to these. Those last chart lines don't concern me that much because he's going against some of the best horses in the province. And I think he's probably going to lay over this field this time. So I'm going to single him and then hope for some value in the finale.
Yeah, and that's where we got things switched here, because to save some value, I'm gonna have to throw my my only single on this one here in the last one. I don't love it, but I'm gonna go with Non-Versation, throw it in there with the single. The more and more I look at this card, if this was a 20-cent minimum, I'd probably maybe spread it out a little more. But with the $1 minimum, I'm hoping for Non-Versation to come through big here at the end. But in this one, who do you have?
I'm going to go 1, 4, 5, 6. I think you could just easily hit the all button, but I'm hoping to reduce the amount of combinations and go perhaps with a bit of a higher denomination on this one. Braxton's Boy, we already talked about, showed some potential in these last few starts. And then the 4, 5, 6 are just quite strong horses at the moment. Non-Versation with that win last out. Taj Mania, 2 straight for LeDrew and Williams, and Singing Rona, like we said, has raced pretty much everywhere, has raced across a big spread of tracks on the continent these past couple of years, and is in the mix every time, stepping up for the Howlets. I can very much see her getting it done and maybe adding a little value to the end of it. So 1, 4, 5, 6 for me to close it out.
Awesome, man. That's everything we got for racing. I before I let you go, I have to ask one last question. Bombers or Riders, man?
Oh, I feel like I don't want to start an interprovincial war by giving an Ontarian's take on this. And I can't pretend to follow this TFL, but since I'm on the call with Mr. Manitoba, I'm going to go Bombers.
That's fine. I always bet on the Bills, just for you and you and Pops. That's it.
Appreciate it. Some blue solidarity.
Exactly. Again, thank you, Ace. This is Nicholas Barnsdale, Canadian correspondent and editor of harnesslink.com. Thank you for joining me. Thank you to Nathan Bain and Grady Hachey for sending me in their picks. Mike always sends me his picks. Thank you to Murray Slough and Sugar Doyle for their input on the 77th running of the Manitoba Great Western Stakes, which is race 2 on Saturday, post time 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Should be able to watch and wager on HPI. There's also live streams available. Thank you for everyone. Make sure you follow the Manitoba Standardbred Sires Breeders Association Facebook page. I work really hard on that. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.